to 2023 on Lady in Waking. My name is Ashley. I am a 40-something pop culture geek with a love for vintage style, and I started a channel last year called Lady in Waking that was for the main purpose of helping those of us in our 40s kind of come to terms with what vintage style means to us in that era of our lives. So it was originally meant to be for 40 plus, but I think that a lot of the natural tendencies in my videos have been to create just content that is good for vintage lovers in general. So I have discovered that it's not just a 40-something audience that has been enjoying the videos, and that is also really encouraging to me as well, because I like the fact that I'm getting questions from people of all ages about just traditional, vintage style techniques or cheats. This channel, again, is dedicated to beauty and fashion. However, I thought it might be a good idea to sit down here at the beginning of the year and give you an idea of what I have learned over the last year, maybe some things I've enjoyed that are non-beauty related, as well as to give you a forum to let me know what you would like to see on the channel upcoming. So that's what the purpose of this video is. Let's stick on to. Again, I have very much enjoyed seeing the way that this channel progresses in the new YouTube world. As many of you may know, I started a channel back in 2009 that was called Lisa Fremont Street, and it was one of the very first vintage styling channels that created content regularly. There were quite a few girls that had individual like victory roll tutorials and things like that, but back when I started this channel, which was in 2009, it was when I was really coming to terms with what I wanted to see from my own personal style, and so it was sort of a journey for me as well as a discovery for me. And so there were a lot of things that I had to learn along the way, and the same has been true of this channel. I do not feel that the world is the same as it was whenever I started my channel in 2009. I think that's why a lot of the girls that were, I guess, part of the old guard, as you say, of vintage styling have kind of fallen by the wayside, that are no longer making videos. It's because the algorithms change things a lot. There was a whole lot less of a tendency towards specific style of videos, and a lot of us didn't have the equipment to keep up with what the new demand was. So a lot of us stopped making videos, and I have definitely learned over the last year, looking at the statistics on my channel, that most of the videos that have a higher number of views, and for me a higher number is a couple thousand, but most of the videos that have a higher number of views are short form videos, and I think that that's just the general lay of the land now. People prefer short form content, and I actually appreciate that, because it's easier for me to make short form content than it is for me to sit down and make a longer video like this for you, although I will not stop doing that. It may not be quite as often, and I think I said that in a prior video as well. It's just not what people generally want to see. But for those of you who are really part of the, the old style of YouTube, and they like the way that things were done old school, then I will still supply these types of videos for you as well. Perhaps the ASMR video here and there, because that's still a very large community here on YouTube. But I thought I'd tell you some things that I learned. For one thing, like I said, I learned that short form videos are definitely far more in demand than anything long form. However, I'm going to give my 2 cents on that and say that it is very hard to truly learn a technique through short form videos. So I do encourage you, if not for me, to seek out one of the many other people who are doing vintage styling here on YouTube and try to sit through a 10-15 minute tutorial on pin curls or victory rolls, because you will get a much better understanding of the technique and also just the general method. So that is something that I feel pretty firmly about. When it comes to beauty, I have discovered that because I had left the beauty industry, and especially over the course of the pandemic, I had long since made my peace with the fact that I was not going to be able to do the higher priced beauty items anymore, such as my higher priced skincare, my higher priced cosmetics, and there are still a few items that I buy from Sephora, from some of the, what they would call more of the elite brands of cosmetics, but for the most part, I have become a huge advocate of drugstore, of just simple, low price items. Simplicity is better. I have discovered that using Witch Hazel has been just as good for my skin as my clarifying lotion from Clinique was, and it costs a quarter of the price. I have discovered that The Ordinary offers everything I need in terms of my like treatment skincare, my anti-aging skincare at a quarter of the price that other companies offer. I'm absolutely loving just using plain old cold cream to get rid of my makeup as opposed to a higher priced makeup removing oil or balm. So those things are a pleasure to have rediscovered out of necessity over the last couple of years, and I firmly recommend that all of you really, really try to try budget items and see if you're just as happy with them as you were your higher priced items, because you will discover, I think, that there are a lot of things that you can save on. When it comes to fashion, I have joined the ranks of those who really want to stay away from purchasing new. I really love the idea of being able to find anything that I want through a thrift store or through the Goodwill. I've started making myself stop at the Goodwill a couple of times a month. There is only one or two that are close to me, and see if I can find basic items that I need there as opposed to purchasing them online. I still have my favorite companies that I love to buy from every year. I love Retrospect. There are a few other companies that I love their dress line, and I would love to just be able to at least purchase a few items from them per year. But for the most part, I am frequenting Etsy, I'm frequenting eBay, and I am frequenting my local thrift stores for clothing above any and everything else. This top was thrifted. This jewelry is a gifted vintage item. I just don't really care as much to invest in high quality pieces as much as I do to find the things that I need that have been loved and worn before, because I feel like it's just not only better for the environment, but I just feel better personally not to spend as much on newer items, reproduction items, than I do on maybe basic thrifted items that I can sort of make look vintage. I'm a lot more apt right now to buy classic pieces from the thrift store than I am to buy truly like higher priced true vintage pieces, or go into a reproduction world, or go the reproduction route, because I just feel like I'm happier with myself if I don't spend as much. So that's sort of something I've discovered when it comes to clothing. When it comes to my eating habits, I have learned that I get a lot better results from my fitness routine, which most of you know that I do try to maintain a pretty regular fitness routine. I work out 5 days a week. But I think that to support my fitness routine, I think that I have discovered that doing intermittent fasting is working well for me. I'm not doing it as extreme as some people do. I usually start eating at 11 o'clock and I stop eating at 8. So I do not eat outside of those hours. At 11 o'clock I have pretty much a standard breakfast that is eggs and spinach with tomatoes and whole wheat bread. And that has been my kind of breakfast of choice for the last couple of years. Sometimes I switch it up and do an omelet. Sometimes I do just a couple of eggs and a little hunk of pepper jack cheese and my whole wheat bread. But I'm obsessed with Arnold bread that you can get at Walmart or whatever when it's toasted. It's so delicious that it's made me completely swear off white bread altogether, and that was something I needed. So I'm trying to eat clean, and I usually only eat 2 meals a day. At night I switch it up a little bit more, but as far as desserts go, I'm trying to be a little bit more responsible when it comes to desserts by eating something that also has protein in it. So the Yasso protein yogurt bars are my lifesaver because it makes me feel like I'm cheating when I'm actually not. And I'm always on the lookout, like on TikTok and places like that, for recipes that are higher protein, because I think eating a cleaner diet with higher protein is definitely a better choice for me than a weight loss diet. I'm not on a mission to lose weight, I'm just on a mission to lose some inches. So that's where I think that you're switching up your eating habits can really be helpful. But again, intermittent fasting, 2 meals a day, cleaner eating has definitely been a life changer for me, and it's something that I probably won't ever go back on because it's sort of a lifestyle change. Some other things that I loved this year. All of you know when it comes to my channel, there's going to be something pop culture related involved, so I thought I would give you a few of my favorite pop culture discoveries this year. I When it comes to music, I had a few favorites. I went back and looked at Spotify. My Wrapped was not a good indication because my daughter just totally totally pirated my Spotify. So it's not true statistics. But my favorite albums of the year were some discoveries that I had made, some just very, very basic, really good pop albums. DJO, or Joe, which is Joe Keery's project from the Stranger Things cast. I really enjoyed his album from this year a whole lot. It was one of my favorites of the year. I also discovered Cassandra Lewis, who is a country, kind of like a country alternative singer, so sort of more along the lines of that Americana style. Her voice just blew me away, still blows me away. I think she is my favorite discovery of the year, and I strongly suggest that you go listen to her. Mentioned her in a prior video as well. I also enjoyed Munley and the Lupercalians, if you like something a little bit more gothic and strange. Their album, The Kinry of Lupercalia, was great. Orville Peck's album, Bronco, was great. But I think the album that I listened to the most and had the most favorite songs from was the Wise Blood album. I think it is called, what is it called? And in the darkness hearts aglow. Wise Blood. If you know who Wise Blood is, this album was to me one of the best things I had ever heard from her as far as a full collection of songs. I thought that the album was very well thought out. It was put together well. So if you liked her prior album, the Andromeda Rising album, then you absolutely will love this one. She is, to me, when it comes to the female indie artists, she is the artist. She's fantastic. And if you love Joni Mitchell and Amy Mann, I think she's a perfect little combination of the two. I also, as honorable mention, really enjoyed the album that came out fairly recently by Willow Smith. Good pop alternative rock. Hasn't been a really good female-fronted alternative rock album like that I have really appreciated and enjoyed in the last few years. So check that album out as well. For movies, I had a few favorites of the year. I loved Metal Lords. As most of you know, I love metal music, so this was actually a very, very cool representation. It's sort of a lighthearted, almost like Napoleon Dynamite style of film about some kids just getting together to start a metal band, and I really enjoyed the movie. I thought it was well done. I don't think it got nearly the acclaim it should have, and so I strongly recommend Metal Lords. I also thoroughly enjoyed the Weird Al movie. If you have not seen it, it's brilliant. It is everything it should be, and that is all I can say about that. The Elvis movie surprised me, made me discover that I am more of an Elvis fan than I thought I was, and I think that's because I'm even more of a Baz Luhrmann fan than I am an Elvis fan, so when I saw Baz Luhrmann's take on Elvis's life, it made me realize that I enjoy Elvis more than I thought I did. Great movie, great performance by Austin Butler. And I also really enjoyed See How They Run. There were quite a few little lighthearted crime movies that came out towards the end of the year, and See How They Run was fun and well acted, and I loved it. TV, I realized that science fiction reigned this year in TV. I think almost everything that I loved on TV this year had some sort of science fiction slant, whether it was Severance on Apple TV, of course this new season of Stranger Things, which to me was the best season so far. Also on Prime, Night Sky and Outer Range were excellent from beginning to end, and also on Peacock, The Resort was another sort of science fiction-y, time travel-y type story with humor and romance and just generally good performances. And so I think that that's sort of the style of, or the genre of television that I feel like was exceptional this year. Life hacks. I did discover if you have cats, I feel like this is a pretty big deal to have discovered. If you have cats and they need flea treatment, which they do, and I have multiple cats. I have 8, but they're not all inside, so just so you know. I have discovered that cats, the flea treatment is so expensive, and my vet told me that the Advantage 2 for large dogs will do, each vial will do 4 cats. So that has cut the flea treatment cost in Like, I can't even tell you how much that has saved me. So I thought I would give that little tip out there if you haven't heard it yet. I don't know why that's not more well known, but my vet is the one who told me about it, and he said that's what they do. They use the large dog vials of Advantage 2 for their cats there at the vet's office. So that was a game changer. And also, I'm enjoying some off-grid style living sometimes. We have had no water for several weeks at a time this year, and I have discovered that when you don't have running water and you have water all around you, it just makes you a better person, because you realize that there are some things that you don't need, they're a luxury, and it just makes you appreciate that luxury more. So if you are living in an area where you can have a backup source of water or your own source of water, I strongly recommend it. It is a freeing thing. That's all. None of that stuff was really related. My phone's about to die. I hope that you guys enjoyed Lady in Waking this year. Let me know what you'd like to see coming up last year. Let me know what you'd like to see coming up this year, and I will see you soon with a hair tutorial, and we'll go from there.